Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Green Wisdom Health Show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are going to educate you this week on how to burn up those stubborn calories that all of you are now trying to get rid of from this wonderful holiday season that we had. And you might have been trying to get rid of some before the wonderful holiday season we had, but it was a great excuse to keep eating. So we're going to tell you a few things that you can do naturally. We're going to offer you some supplements and recommendations about some things you can take to help speed it up and burn it up. And we're also going to answer some very important questions that you guys have been writing into us. Dr. Lewis, I'm going to put him on the spot because he doesn't really know what I'm going to ask him. So we'll see how that turns out.
Anybody that's been married, you've been on the spot all those years anyway.
It's kind of fun. So we're going to answer things like, I follow all the rules, but I still can't lose weight. I'm just getting old and my metabolism is slow. It's genetic. There's nothing I can do about weight loss. How many of you have heard that one? We've heard that one. These last 10 pounds just won't go away. I feel like I should give up. And there are certain foods I can't stop eating even though I suspect they're bad for me. So we're going to help you figure out what to do to stop eating those. And don't you have a weight loss pill you can give me? I can't tell you how many times people have called our office and asked, do we have a pill? I, to this day, don't believe that we have discovered the magic pill. Do you, Dr. Lewis?
Nope. I had a lady walk in one time. She said, can you help me lose weight? I said, yep, if you can follow the rules. I said, how much you need to lose? She said, 42 pounds. Because she's going to a class reunion. I said, all right, how long do you want me to, or how long are you going to give me to help you with this? She says, 3 weeks. I took my knife out of my pocket, opened up the blade, says, which leg?
Okay. I've tried everything to lose weight. Maybe I need to accept myself as fat and give up my skinny clothes.
Yeah, don't be doing body shaming.
Yeah, I see that going on a lot now on TV. It's like, well, you should not be making fun of people for being overweight, but at the same time, you should not accept that that is normal because
we're healthy. Because
you're saying, hey, it's okay if you have diabetes, heart attack, stroke, because you're just large. So we're going to address that.
It's not your genetics.
Yeah. Nutrition and diet strategies that work for others don't seem to apply to me. So maybe there's a reason that's happening we'll discuss. And then I lose 5 pounds and then I regain 7. It's so frustrating. And I know women say that a lot. So
men do too.
If any of those statements are resonating with you, then hold on to your hats because we are going to tell you perhaps one of the most important secrets of all is that your hormones could be out of whack. And there are things you can do about that. So, Dr. Lewis, I guess the number one thing that would make you out of whack to gain weight is a estrogen imbalance.
Well, that could be, you've heard me say, pesticides, plastics, and fire retardants, but there are so many different things that can mimic estrogen. They're called xenoestrogens. Estrogens are estrogen mimickers, and that's why us men have low testosterone generally, and that's why little girls develop breast and menstrual cycle many years before they should, because we have so many of those that are just prevalent in our society, the plasticizers or phthalates. And you really can't avoid it. It's better to do without as many as possible, but use glass or ceramic or cast iron, when you can. But these estrogen mimickers, and whether you're a man or woman, we do a very trademarked DIM, diindolylmethane, which is it starts as indole 3-carbinol, goes to diindolylmethane, but that's what you get in broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale. But, you can't eat 60 pounds of that a day, and if you could, your wife couldn't stand the gas. So it's easier just to eat, take the DIM, and that helps take out or conjugate these bad estrogens. And the other thing is it helps increase testosterone. It helps increase free and weakly bound testosterone. And I'm sorry, Janet, I was just talking about men there.
I was thinking this was our magic weight loss pill because, I know on a female, the DIM actually makes a woman get her shape back to the way it was when she was younger. It's through the hips, because that's where the bad estrogen imbalance is stored. It's through the tummy area and hips,
or if you need a bra in your back because you got those folds where your bra strap goes. And I've had women say, well, I'm not losing weight on it. It's like, well, it's not really for weight loss. You usually lose 5-6 pounds, maybe 10, but you're cleaning up your body. People are so adamant. Sorry, I'm trying to clean up my language. So adamant about detox. Is, well, you've got to detox every day. So the DIM is very, very important. Men, what it did for me is it made my prostate very, very healthy.
Well, on a woman, whenever they tell you that is the main reason that they can't lose weight in relation to when a man loses weight is because of estrogen dominance.
I think it's a stress living with her husband, but it could be. I could be wrong.
Well, we've been on birth control pills, all the kind of things that make estrogen higher. Eating the meat that's full of antibiotics, all of that stuff. They're shot up with all kind of chemicals that create an estrogen imbalance.
Yeah, meat gets a bad rap. And Janet's right about the antibiotics and the estrogens, but don't think red meat's bad for you, and it's not causing global warming. If people think meat causes global warming, they know absolutely nothing about carbon sequestration. Don't buy into it, but get the good meat. Know where your meat comes from and make sure it's raised properly.
Well, and you should be eating more vegetables as well because, I know a lot of this keto diet and all that stuff, you do a whole lot of protein. You should be doing a whole lot of vegetables also because that helps absorb, the fiber helps absorb some of those excreted excess estrogens.
And that's true. I mean, more vegetables, but if they're spraying all those chemicals on them, they're just as bad, if not worse, than the meat. So that's why I tell people, even if you're not getting any more nutrient density, you're at least not getting the chemicals or the same amount of chemicals. So go organic or grow your own if you can. And that's why I like Jack Spirko, the Survival Podcast. He teaches you how to do that. But more vegetables, absolutely. Better fat, absolutely, and more of it. I'm a big fan of keto. That's the one, and in all the studies, that's the one where people lose twice as much weight as any other diet and keep it off. And we had a picture of Tony from up in Nebraska, and he says, "Thank you, Dr. Lewis, for asking me, are you ready to get well?" And he's given me, a little bit of credit. It's like, well, Tony, you look good, 100 pounds lighter, and I'm glad I could help, but you've got to take credit. You did the work, and you had the motivation, so God bless you. You're an inspiration to other people.
Exactly. He did the work, which is the big deal.
No excuses, Tony. You never had them, and that's why you got success.
So our problem with burning up those stubborn calories, number 2, is excess insulin.
And we check that on lab, and most doctors don't.
Yeah, would you talk a little bit about the lab for those of you that are new to listening to our podcast? We had a lady in here yesterday that said, yeah, I've got a couple of panels of lab, and we were like, oh, boy.
Waited, 2-3 hours for the doctor's office to send it to us, and then we were disappointed. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, when you're talking about this excess estrogen and you're talking about insulin, can you explain a little bit about what you do differently and what you're running and what you're looking for and how you see that?
Even if your glucose is okay and your A1C is okay, and A1C is a 90 to 120 day blood sugar average, even if they're okay, but the insulin gets excessive, and the range, depending on the lab, goes from about 2 to 19 or 2 to 24. And I tell people that's not normal. That's what's going on in America. If insulin gets somewhere around 5, 6, 7, 8 and higher, it starts creating, it's excess glucose. So the body turns it into triglycerides and boo-boos, all sorts of different cholesterol markers. Then the triglycerides are carried into the liver, and the liver can't process it, which probably can't because you've been doing too many carbs and sugars. Then you get your liver enzymes start going high. You get the stones in your liver. They migrate down the biliary tract, go into the gallbladder, and you get gallstones. And then you get your gallbladder taken out. It's just a cascade of all kinds of things. you don't want to go there, but that's why we check. And there's so many different things that can help with insulin resistance.
So on the lab, you're looking at insulin, you're looking at a 3-month blood sugar, you're looking at glucose and a metabolic panel. These are standard panels that you're running, correct?
Standard for us.
Well, right. Well, they're 12. They're 12 different panels. So anytime he's talking to you about any of this, and you thinking, "I've not ever heard of this," my doctor doesn't check that. You're right, they don't, because they're bound by insurance companies to run what they want them to run. And for us, we don't include insurance, so we can run what we want to run so that we can see exactly what's wrong with you, and we're not guessing.
And everybody has their strength. I just looked at some labs that were way, way beyond me. Is sent in by a very sweet lady out of Alpharetta, Georgia. I love her. She's a sweetheart. But her doctor's doing things that's way beyond me. And I just said, well, he's way beyond me. Follow their advice for sure.
Right. Everybody has a specialty.
Yes.
So when excess insulin, are there a couple of products that come to mind that might help people with insulin? Because I know, when they're doing that, is yeast an issue sometimes, the reason why they're craving that?
You just fed it and turned them in from billions to trillions.
So, like maybe Candida support?
Candida support's very, very, very good, and it will kind of kill off, make them uncomfortable, and then you have to have the bowel movements Janet talks about. You decrease yeast. When you change your probiotics in your guts, then your taste buds change, because so many people say, well, I don't want to do that. It doesn't taste good. And I said, good Lord, you're letting your taste buds rule your failure. I eat stuff that I don't like because it's good for me, and then not all of a sudden, it takes a while, but the taste buds change. So I got a little stressed the other night, got into the Bluebell ice cream. It wasn't very far into it. I put the lid back on, threw the whole thing in the trash. Well, Janet apparently has helped change my good bacteria, or make more of them in my gut. So I threw out the Bluebell. Which
I think has got to do with him going gluten-free.
Yeah,
because
probably.
The minute he went gluten-free, he didn't crave ice cream at all anymore. So it really is about what you're choosing to eat. And when you're overweight or skinny, when you're overweight or skinny fat, normal weight, but you have too much fat mass, insulin becomes imbalanced and your cells become numb to the hormone. So as a result, you experience blood sugar highs and lows.
Mm-hmm. I had a blood sugar high that night.
And you store fat because your glucose regulator is broken. Insulin isn't working. Your hormone and weight loss are off track. So we tell people when you're doing that, in the morning they'll eat a bowl of cereal or something and then go to school or work. And then, about 11 o'clock, they're crashing and they're really irritable because they've ate something that's not sustaining them till noon to have lunch, like a protein or something like that, like an egg.
And that's why paleo primal keto is much better diet, because of the long-term release of the calories.
So we always tell people, well, you need to make sure that insulin is balanced, that blood sugar. So there's a product called Active Chromium. You don't hear us talk about it very much, but if you have just a slight blood sugar problem and you have some of that dipping spell and you get a little mean before lunch, Active Chromium.
Well, we need half of America to get on that.
It's a good thing to take because it stops the spiking. It stops the blood sugar levels from going high or low if you're not going to eat correctly.
And it mimics estrogen, the way it, not estrogen, I'm sorry, it mimics insulin, the way it deals with the glucose.
And then there's the stubborn calorie thing about excess cortisol. When you have excess cortisol, you have a hard time burning calories. And cortisol is in response to stress, but many of us run around stressed most of the time. So
some of it of your own creation, however.
And it does tend to mess with your hormone imbalance and weight gains. So there are things that you can take to help you keep your sanity and also not wreak your hormones over time that make you store fat. So Dr. Lewis, could you talk to us a little bit about how high cortisol is linked to food addiction and sugar cravings, and maybe some of the products that you could take that would help alleviate that issue instead of trying to go for the cookies and the processed foods and ice creams?
Geez, I feel on
I'm
the
sorry.
spot.
I'm sorry.
I don't know where she's going with this. The stress response, we usually put people on for low cortisol, but it works very, very well no matter what. The one I like I really like is pantothenic acid complex. It has the pantothenic acid, which helps rebuild the adrenal glands, and it has cordyceps, eleutherio, rhodiola. It works real, real well. So, how much do you want me to talk about B vitamins? They're incredibly important, and most of the ones that are on the market are terrible quality.
Well, that's what I wanted you to mention. I know you said you wanted to mention B vitamins, that we don't really understand the role that they play in our health, and we have a B complex ultra.
Oh, yeah, that's really, really good. So, look at them, but, just to go real quickly with some of the B vitamins. B1, thiamine. If you've got brain fog, it's because you got too much yeast stealing your thiamine. I put people on benfotiamine, which is fat-soluble thiamine, and people say, oh, my God, I feel so better. My brain fog's gone. But it helps to create energy, and the more energy you have, the easier it is to burn these calories. Then you got B2, which is riboflavin. Helps the tissues use oxygen. It helps metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. It does all sorts of things. Helps metabolize tryptophan, and I'm a big fan of amino acids. Tryptophan, if you metabolize it correctly, is going to turn into serotonin, which makes you feel good. B3. I was just reading a good article this morning that says, and they were talking about IV B3, which is niacin nicotinic acid or niacinamide, how that increased your immune system many, many, many times. But you have to be careful when you supplement with niacin because it can be toxic on the liver. Well, we do have it, but it's a sustained release that doesn't give you that warm, fuzzy feeling. B3 helps with secretion of bile, which means it's going to help with the fat intake, stomach fluids, and synthesis of sex hormones. Be careful taking that, but when you mention sex, then everybody wants to order it. B5, the pantothenic acid, is absolutely incredible. It does help with the adrenal hormones, helps with other vitamin utilization, helps the GI tract, good in treating depression and anxiety. There's a lot of that going on. Then B6, I tell people, if you don't have enough B6, and that's usually suspected when your liver enzymes are not high enough, if you don't have enough B6, you're not going to have the good, happy hormones, and they won't be able to cross the blood-brain barrier. B6 is really good. When Janet takes it, she says, I'm nicer, if that tells you anything. But if you have a deficiency, you can have cracks and sores on your lips and tongue, and that can be other B vitamins as well. But inflammation of the mouth, learning difficulties, impaired memory, hair loss, hearing problems, all sorts of things. Numbness, such as carpal tunnel, etc. B12, most people are taking it, but it's the wrong kind, and it'll still be flagged high in your serum. So just because it's flagged high and you're taking a cyanocobalamin, don't think you're doing yourself a favor, because you're not. There's just so many things, hallucinations, headaches, migraines, inflammation of the tongue, irritability, etc., etc.
So can they just take B complex and kind of catch as a catch-all? Or do we need to do individual things like you're talking about there?
Well, I think they're always better when they're put together.
Good. Okay. Well, I will get to this last part of how to burn up those stubborn calories here. We're going to talk a little bit about adiponectin, and a lot of you people have not heard of that, and I'm going to save that one for the last. I want to make sure that I have some of these questions answered that we've received, and then we'll get back and teach you a little bit about adiponectin and how that correlates to weight loss or weight gain. So, but first off, Elaine asked a question a couple of weeks back. I want to make sure we've answered some of these. She wants to know if reversing menopause at a young age is possible. She's 38 years old. Oh, Lord. Can I take that one?
Go right ahead. When women are talking about hormones, men, it's best just to shut the heck up.
Yeah, you notice how he got very quiet over that. Elaine, yes, you can reverse it. You need to call me. We have something called Progest Avail. It's about to be called Progest Assure. It is a progesterone that many times is most of the women that go into menopause are beginning to have lower amounts of progesterone.
But it offsets a lot of that estrogen Janet talked about earlier.
Yes. Yes, that is a big one. You need to call me about how to do it because the way the label is written is not exactly our recommendations on it. So I want to make sure you get the most out of it that's possible, or you can email me and I'll be happy to tell you how to do that. It has been a godsend. The women love it. All of us are sleeping great on it.
And other things.
And other things.
They get better.
Yeah, hair is not falling out anymore.
And other things.
Yeah, and other things. But we also do the DIM 150 that Dr. Lewis talked about also for the estrogen imbalance. That's a huge one also at reversing menopausal type symptoms.
And, if you're diseased, we still love medical care. They do a lot of good things, but there are so many things that can be done naturally if you get it in time.
And if you are going through that and you're having hot flashes, which is a horrible, horrible thing, we have a product called Flashies that women are like, oh my gosh, I took 2 pills of that and it's incredibly better. That is the most embarrassing thing a woman can go through, is having a hot flash while she's standing there talking to someone and just totally turn red. So yes, we can help with that. Now, are you going to stop menopause? No, but you can certainly slow it down and you can certainly feel good going through it and past it. So thank you, Elaine, for that question. Christine has a question about what the association with the thyroid to the esophagus is. So, Dr. Lewis, I'm going to give you that one. So he can...
Well, when it swells up, like you get a goiter, it can put a lot of pressure there. And although we try to do as much naturally as possible, I would tell you to see your doctor, your MD, about that.
Okay.
Have it checked out. Yeah,
because you never know exactly what's going on there. May not just be the thyroid, right?
It could be a lot of things. So, have that medically checked out, please.
Okay. Carl would like for you to explain the difference in the proper type of calcium and magnesium to someone who is grinding their farm fresh eggshells and consuming them thinking they're getting the amount they need and it's the correct form of calcium and magnesium.
Carl's always trying to save somebody that doesn't listen, and Carl's very knowledgeable. I've known him for 30 years or so. Wonderful guy. And I'm glad you have a passion for helping people, but sometimes you're just spitting in the wind, so to speak. But it's my understanding that eggshells are calcium carbonate. It's a really good thing to put into your soil to let your plants convert the calcium carbonate to another more absorbable form of calcium. And that's back when, many years ago, when the coral calcium came out, and they were very, very slick marketers. And I'd had people come in and say, I'm taking this coral calcium and I feel wonderful. And I would do the breakdown of, well, this is what you're getting out of it. That's the most expensive calcium you can take because most of it's not absorbable. And of course, I agitated somebody about that. And it's like limestone. It doesn't matter. I mean, you might as well just lick on a limestone rock. I like saying that. And you do get a little bit of calcium out of that. If you live out in West Texas and you're drinking their water over 50 years, you do have stronger bones than people over here in East Texas where there's not the calcium in the soil. But it's better to put that calcium into your garden and let it convert. The type that you need, probably the most absorbable, is calcium hydroxyapatite, but we have different kinds, calcium citrate, calcium malate, et cetera, because they chelate them with an amino acid where your body can actually absorb it.
Okay, so tell her to quit grinding up those eggshells and trying to get calcium out of them.
I'm going to tell Carl, quit spending your time on people that don't listen.
He probably spends his time with a lot of people that do listen too, but he gets frustrated too. So that's a great question, Carl.
He's a great guy doing a good job.
Thank you for the question. Tara wants to know, do we have a podcast on cholesterol? I'm sure you do, but she gets confused trying to explain it to people. Tara, I look back, I think the last time we did one where it was just about cholesterol was in 2017.
I'll do a new one if
Yes.
Janet says it's time to go. She kind of gets what we should talk about in her dreams from her angels or God or something. But yeah, I'd love to do one on cholesterol.
Yeah, we'll do another one. And
if y'all want to know more about Tara, go to Wildly Primal. She's an absolutely incredible health coach, and she is brilliant. Mm-hmm. Tara.
And then I still have some other questions. We'll get to some of those again next week. I want to make sure that we have enough time to talk about adiponectin, because I know that you guys are all probably never heard of adiponectin, and you want to know what that has to do with the stubborn calories. But it's actually one of the key hormones that tells your body to burn fat. And some people are genetically programmed to not make enough of this fat-burning hormone, and as levels decline, fat composition in the body increases. And actually, one of the ways that you can have higher adiponectin is to drink coffee. Although coffee isn't good for you, they tell you to go to like green tea or something like
some
that.
Some people say coffee's bad for weight loss. Coffee's good for weight loss. If you like coffee, drink coffee. Don't do guilt. So, of course, I've had more than my share today, so I'm going to go. Coffee's good for you.
But is adiponectin, isn't that also something that increases if you do more higher, like fish oil, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and I think that's a reason. There was this young lady that is one of the educators about some of the supplements we sell, and she told Janet, well, if you take 2 teaspoons of this liquid fish oil, it starts weight loss, and it does increase adiponectin, as does pistachios. And Janet just bought a big bag of pistachios, and I told her, I said, hell, you burn more energy getting these things out of the shell than they give you. So, I was being a smart aleck.
Well, I thought that's why they increased weight loss, because it took so long to get one out that by the time you got to it, you didn't eat many. But apparently, I had not even looked at adiponectin or even read any of this. I just innately had decided I wanted to start eating these pistachios.
Innately, it would make it sound like she's connected to God. I think she's psychic and sometimes psychotic.
Hey, but after I started the pistachios and I increased the fish oil, doing two teaspoons, because actually a teaspoon of our liquid fish oil, people are going, oh, that's just gross. It has a horrible taste.
Yeah, it doesn't.
This one actually has no taste. I can't believe it. It's wonderful. Mm-hmm. Taking 1 teaspoon of that is like taking 4 of our regular capsules. So whenever you do 2 of those teaspoons, it's like taking 8 of our fish oil, the capsule part. So I've been doing the 2 teaspoons and just ironically put these pistachios with it. And then it also says that another way to help increase adiponectin is eating dark chocolate.
Amen.
Well,
I'm good for that.
Yeah, and I don't know how dark chocolate Hershey's Kisses are.
No.
But and they're kind of a lighter chocolate, but I've been doing a couple of them at night, but I'm down like 3 pounds.
Well, y'all have never seen Janet. She's kind of pretty thin anyway, kind of a little girl. But
I was not able to lose any weight, and I noticed if I ate anything with substance to it after 6 o'clock at night that was like a heavier type food, I not only did not sleep well, but B, I wouldn't lose any weight. But if I did these pistachios and eat these little Hershey's chocolates, just 3, not a bag full like y'all are thinking, oh my gosh.
Like I would like to.
Yes. I actually am losing weight on that. So I think this adiponectin thing, there's something to it. And it talks about intermittent fasting. So that's another thing that raises adiponectin is not eating. So if you eat lightly after 6 and then don't eat again until the next day, that's intermittent fasting, right?
Especially if you wait till lunch to do that.
Which is kind of what we do. I'll have my fish roll in the morning, and I do like we have some egg protein that we eat or drink, and then that's
for your immunoglobulins.
The immunoglobulins, so it tides us over until lunch. So there's intermittent fasting going on, and then also it says to sleep in a cold room, it increases it. And I'm thinking, well, Dr. Lewis, it's freezing because I keep the room.
Oh yeah, you can hang meat in our bedroom. It's so blooming cold.
but all these things are working together. I'm like, this is great. So if you want to increase adiponectin, do those things. And now you know about it. It actually helps with your fasting blood sugar, having higher adiponectin. It helps your total cholesterol. It helps bring down your risk of heart attack or stroke, which is our high sensitivity C-reactive protein. So
we check on lab.
So now you know how to burn up some of those stubborn calories the easy way.
So, the main thing is you have to find somebody you like and follow them, let them be your coach. You have to be consistent. Don't let your taste buds, rule you. You're smarter than that. And just consistency is the key, just like Tony up in Nebraska. It's like, oh, geez, you look really good, 100 pounds less than what you were. And, the old saying, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels.
And consistency is listening to our podcast. So we appreciate that very much. And those of you that need to get started that have not, go to our website, greenwisdomhealth.com, fill out the health survey. We can get those lab panels Dr. Lewis talked about ordered in any state in the United States. We can get you started. If you have podcast questions for us, we now have a form on our website for you to fill out. You can also become a member of Shootin' Straight with Dr. Lewis on Facebook and put your questions there and watch the activity that goes on. It's pretty fun to be in the middle of that too. So again, we appreciate you listening to our show. We hope we've helped you learn how to burn off some of those stubborn calories. You guys have a blessed week.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You're only one step away from a life worth living.